Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of The Defenders Season 1 on Netflix. This, of course, just came out on Friday. Most people binge watched it in about a day. That's not really my style. I typically like to, take a slower time with most shows, just to take it all in and just have more time to enjoy it, really. Because once I'm done with it, then it's going to be gone for, these characters are gone for I don't know how much longer. Um, so I like to savor it, I guess you could say. There have been a couple shows throughout my short time on this earth I have, sort of binge watched, but, those were, like, just some of the big ones I, watched, to begin with and stuff like that. But anyway, um, I just finished The Defenders yesterday afternoon, so it came out on Friday and I finished it Sunday afternoon. That's actually a pretty quick watch for me. Only a couple days, really. Um, and I gotta say, I really, really enjoyed The Defenders. I thought it was a very enjoyable first season of this team up that us Netflix, Marvel viewers have been waiting for a good few years now. Um, some people seem to be, disappointed by it. They said it was bad. I don't really get it. I personally thought it was very good. Um, some people called the first few episodes boring as well. You really can't please the majority of people these days, I guess. Um, and also the way Beyond the Trailer dug into it and criticized it just is really really off to me. Um, but why don't we get into what I actually thought about it? I'm not gonna be able to go into details from each episode, but I do want to say that I think they successfully sort of organically brought these characters together because they're not all together in the first episode. Um, we don't have this random incident right away in the first episode that somehow attracts them all, and then they decide to team up or something like that. I felt like it came about a lot more naturally than that, which I was pretty happy about. And throughout the entire series, we really see the contrast between all these characters as well. Um, you got Charlie Cox's, Matt Murdock, Daredevil. You got Krysten Ritter's Jessica Jones, Mike Coulter's Luke Cage, and even Finn Jones' Iron Fist, Danny Rand. um, Now, I loved the Daredevil series, and I really can't wait for season 3. Charlie Cox has knocked it out of the park. I really liked the first season of Jessica Jones too, although not quite as much. I still liked it quite a bit. I thought Luke Cage was alright, and I really never got into Iron Fist, honestly. Um, but I feel like you can still watch the show and not be completely lost if you haven't seen each series. Although I do think it's essential that you've seen all of Daredevil so far at least, and probably Jessica Jones too. Um, but I do think each actor does a pretty good job on the show. Of course, Charlie Cox, he sort of still holds the main weight as far as story goes because of Elektra's involvement with a hand and Sigourney Weaver's character, Alexandra, resurrecting her essentially. Um, and we find out about what I think is the hand's main plot that Stick has been worrying mad about since the first season. Um, and Matt, meanwhile, he's just been, he's just sort of still really brought down by what happened to Elektra at the end of season 2 of Daredevil. He's given up being Daredevil supposedly. He's trying to live some kind of normal life, but each night you sort of see him. He hears all this stuff going down, from random muggings to things like that. You can tell he's really, really tempted to jump back into it. But of course, Foggy and Karen don't really want him to. Um, I guess that's one little critique. Some of the supporting characters from the shows that appeared could be a little bit annoying at times. I thought Foggy was alright, because Foggy at least seemed to understand Matt in the end, or at least want to let him do what he wants to do. But characters like Karen, not Karen so much, but mostly characters like Misty, when she tries to make all her police stuff seem really, really important, or just tries to hold them there and just questions them over and over. It got a little bit frustrating, I'll admit. But those are just minor little things. Um, Elodie Young as Elektra I thought was great this season. I was really eager to see what was going to happen with her, and I really got into her side of the story in this. I knew I already liked her, but I wasn't expecting to get as into her character this season as I did, but I did. And I'd really like an Elektra spinoff, honestly. I think there could be a lot they could do with that, but yeah, I'm just gonna take my Punisher spinoff I'm getting hopefully in a few months and run with that. Um, and I also really liked Stick this season. Scott Glenn I thought did a really nice job. From season 1 of Daredevil, and I like that he was one sort of bringing them all together, at least the one trying to organize everything. Like I said, Charlie Cox is always good. Krysten Ritter, she's very, very enjoyable. From her, sarcasm to her, more edgy nature to the humor she does use. Like when she's whenever she's on the phone, talking to someone, she uses that really fake, like perky, blonde type of voice. Really, oh yeah, yeah. It's hilarious. I get a real kick out of her. And she still does have a lot of depth to her character as well, which I think she's portrayed excellently throughout. Mike Coulter's an enjoyable presence as well. He is likable. And Finn Jones, I don't think he's quite as bad as some people have said, and from what I've seen of an Iron Fist, he has gotten a little bit better. But his character is written in some fairly frustrating ways in the season, I think. He just really acts out and tries to go against what the rest of the group's doing. I don't know, he's just not, I just don't like him that much. But don't get me wrong, that didn't affect the rest of the show because I really love the pacing of this season. Only 8 episodes, some people complain about that, how they wanted more. But if it was like 13 episodes, people would have just went right back and said, oh, it's too long, it's too slow, should have only been 8 episodes. So really you're going to get them complaining however many episodes you do. So I, for one, enjoyed the slightly tighter pace of this season. I thought it was fine. I think 10 episodes would have been a good middle ground, but I did appreciate, the pacing of the plot and how everything progressed and everything. And Sigourney Weaver's villain, Alexandra, she was alright. Of course, Sigourney Weaver being mostly known for, the Alien films. And, some people said she's a weak villain. I didn't think she's one of the worst. She wasn't really overly memorable, I don't think, but in the end, it's really Elektra as the main antagonist of this season. And thinking of Elektra as the main villain, I think is completely fine because she has a lot of depth to her and her relationship with Matt. I think it made for a pretty good, threat and sort of a layered antagonist this season. Of course, Matt's still trying to believe that there's a part of her in there. She's not this shell of herself, or basically just the black sky in Elektra's body. It's not. He's hoping it's not just driven by instinct. He hopes that Elektra is actually still in there, and she kind of is. I really like her betrayal to Alexandra at the end of season, or at the end of episode 6. I didn't really see that coming. I knew she was probably going to flip on him at some point, but I didn't expect her to just kill Alexandra right then and there in front of the other leaders. So we get a lot more Madame Gao this season, which was fine. I was thinking she was going to be killed off. She might have been in the final collapse of the building when the explosion went off. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see her pop up in Iron Fist again or something. I don't know. She realistically probably shouldn't. But we'll talk more about what happened with Matt at the end in a couple minutes here. I really liked I talked about the first 3 episodes in a separate video. So go back and watch for that if you want to hear more of my initial thoughts on the early stuff. But episode 4 I thought was a great turning point as well. When they're hiding out at the Chinese restaurant, you really get a lot of great back and forth with the characters. And, like I said, as much as I don't really like Danny Rand or Finn Jones in this, I do think the cast still managed to have good chemistry altogether. And that episode is a prime example of that. All their back and forth, the dialogue was great, and the way they delivered, all the actors delivered, I thought was excellent. And like I said, I like Stick being there as well. Stick ends up being killed by Elektra, and I kind of got a sense that Stick was going to die at some point. I kind of wish they spent a little bit more time reflecting on what happened to him. We get a little moment with Matt where he's talking to Foggy later, saying what happened to Stick, and you can see that Matt's, a little bit broken by it. But I wish they had spent more time sort of concentrating on what happened to him. But, I imagine they'll be brought up again in the next season of Daredevil, perhaps, which I'm very excited for. And I thought all the fight sequences are great. The hallway fight scene in the 3rd episode, which I didn't mention in my other video for some reason, but I thought that was good. The restaurant fight scene, Jessica coming back in at the car and, hitting Elektra. I thought they did a good job with the choreography throughout the series, showing that, yeah, Jessica Jones is probably the strongest, maybe second to, like, Luke Cage. So she's not as skilled, so, she often, misses a lot or gets hit quite a bit, but then she can land one really good shot, and then she can, knock the bitch away, pretty much. So I thought they did a good job showing, like, each character's skill set and what they're actually good at as far as fighting goes. And then, of course, the rest of the group ducking, and then Luke, taking the brunt of, like, most gunshots and everything like that. I thought it was pretty well played as far as that goes, too. And it's how the group does get to care a little more about each other, but then there's that great scene where they're about to go down the elevator shaft, and Matt tells Jessica and Luke that he's glad they found each other. He gets, kind of sentimental, and they both sort of give him weird looks. So it has humor in it that feels really natural, but not like Guardians of the Galaxy or Spider-Man Homecoming. It still definitely has a darker, more grounded tone to it, while still having those natural moments of levity. So I pretty much liked everything about this series. I thought all Elektra's fight scenes were great as well. And as far as, like, the Iron Fist opening the door and everything, yeah, it was a little anticlimactic, I guess, but it didn't really take away from the rest of the show to me. Let's see, there's a lot more I could talk about. And then I really loved Matt and Elektra's final scene together. Where Elektra finally comes out of it a little bit. She says, "I'm sorry, Matthew," and they have, some last few words exchanged before it appears like the whole thing collapses on him. And we knew Daredevil season 3 was confirmed, so it kind of took away from it a little bit, knowing that, he was already getting another season after this. So he didn't really buy that Daredevil was dead. But when you see Matt or Karen and Foggy, looking at the doorway, waiting for Matt to step through it with the others, and you don't see him, it was still pretty emotionally effective, I thought. I almost got a little bit teary-eyed, but again, knowing that season 3 of Daredevil is coming, you're like, okay, he's somewhere. Then he wakes up in this hospital, and, Sister Maggie is told that he's awake. Which is playing on a pretty big storyline for the comics, Born Again. Which does involve Fisk to a certain extent, but I think he may be a bigger part of it for the show version. He is still a big part of it in the comics, but I haven't read some of that in a little bit. But I'm definitely excited for season 3 of Daredevil, and I think that sets up for it in a really interesting way, a really different way for a season. And as far as how Maddox, survived, I'm not entirely sure. It's not a plot hole. I don't think it's a plot hole that he just magically survived, because the showrunner was asked about it or something, or one of the writers, and he's being tight-lipped about it, I guess. So I guess there is going to be some kind of grand explanation about it. He didn't just survive to survive, I guess. So there's going to be some kind of story behind it. I was hoping for a Punisher cameo this season, but unfortunately we didn't get that. I think they could have put it in somewhere, but I understand that, Frank's, probably, not really around the exact area, with the Punisher series going on, and I understand if they wanted to keep the focus on the group, so, I get it, but I would have liked to have seen it. I would have geeked the hell out. So, yeah, like I said, I thought it was great. I really hope they do, like, a second season for this team up within, a year or two, maybe. Or, probably closer to 2 years, if anything. But I thought it worked really well. Like I said, the only issues I had with it were, sort of Finn Jones' Iron Fist, but he's not completely terrible either. He's not that bad. And some of the little things like the Misty Knight stuff I thought was a bit irritating. But yeah, overall I really did enjoy it, and if I had to rate it, I'd rate it an A-. I thought it was really, really great. I enjoyed it. Can't wait to watch it again with my girlfriend and my dad eventually. That should be fun. So I know you guys thought about the Defenders. If you watched it, you probably have, probably within the first day. But yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.